War Eagle Auburn fans, and welcome to the Everything Auburn podcast. With this segment, we're going to delve into a unique Auburn tradition that soars above them all. We're talking about the Eagles and all things relating to the Auburn University Raptor Center. We have Andrew Hopkins, Administrative Coordinator of the Raptor Center, with us to talk through his role with the Eagles and Raptor Center and some of the coolest things to know about when it comes to the famed Raptors. Thanks so much for being here today, Andrew. Really appreciate it. So let's start things off by having you talk a bit about your role here at Auburn, specifically involving the Eagles and most notably the Eagle Flight that happens at all Auburn football home games.
Yeah, so everyone seems to know about the Raptor Center because of our, flights on game day, but we do a lot more than that. And so one of my main roles is actually booking a lot of the educational presentations that we do all across the Southeast. And so this year we're probably going to reach about 400 educational shows, so it'll be our busiest year ever.
So how do you prepare the Eagle for a flight, specifically for the flight? Maybe what's the most important thing you'd like fans to know about the Eagles and that flight?
Yeah, so one of the things lots of people don't know is that we're actually in the stadium pretty much every day from July until the end of the season practicing. And so this year we've got Independence, our bald eagle, and Aria, who's War Eagle 8, in the stadium, and we're practicing pretty much every single day with them. And that really just gets the repetition in. That way on game day, it's just another practice for them. They're doing the same thing, it's just 87,000 people happen to be watching that day.
So we know each Eagle has a name, like us, and each probably has its own personality, right? Can you walk us through each Eagle's name, how they're unique from one another?
Yeah, so like I said, currently we're flying Independence, who's our bald eagle, and Aria, who's our golden eagle. Independence is a human imprint, which means she was found as a baby in the wild, and she was cared for by people for too long. And so she has no fear of people at all, which means that she really likes to be around people, which can be a good thing or a bad thing. She works really well with my coworker, Amanda Sweeney. And so Amanda does all the training for Independence. And then Aria, she was found in the wild with an injured wing, but she was old enough where she's not an imprint when she underwent veterinary care. And so she's basically behaves more like a wild eagle should. And so she doesn't have that where she wants to be around people as much. She's kind of a little bit more standoffish. She's a lot more quiet, which is a little bit of their, just species. Golden eagles just aren't as talkative as bald eagles.
And so I know this year, speaking of the flight, and there might have been a little bit of a add-in this year. So I understand the Eagles might be flying not only at football games, but also at baseball games. Is that right?
That's right. We did 2 flights at baseball games this past season. And so that was the first time ever that we've done that. Indy did both of those flights. That's a little bit more going into kind of their personalities. Indy is a lot more willing to kind of just soar above Amanda and just kind of wait on Amanda to show her the lure, which is what they're trying to come to, whereas Aria isn't as willing to just kind of soar up in the sky. She kind of knows that the sooner she lands, the sooner she gets food. And so we flew Indy those first 2 flights, and hopefully we'll be working Aria into learning how to fly around the baseball field in the coming years.
That's really awesome. No, the flight tradition is only growing, right? Mm-hmm. So beyond the Eagles, can you detail the work of the Raptor Center and its rehabilitation mission with raptors of all kinds? It's not just eagles.
That's right. So we get in owls, hawks, falcons, vultures, eagles, kites, ospreys. We got all sorts of different raptor categories that are admitted to this facility. On a given year, we'd typically get 300 plus injured, orphaned, or sick raptors. And our veterinary staff and our rehabilitation staff will do the best they can to try and fix them up and release them back in the wild, because that's where these birds belong.
So what's one of the main things you hope the public knows about the Raptor Center?
Yeah, one of the things we want people to know about the Raptor Center is that you can come visit us. Lots of people don't actually know that. Now, one of the best times to visit us is on the Fridays before home football games at 4 p.m. when we host our Football Fans and Feathers show. And you can find out more details and purchase your tickets online for those on our website, auburn.edu/raptor. But really throughout the year, we do a lot of educational presentations. We've got graduation was recent, and we had lots of families wanted to come out and tour the center for that. So we just do small family tours even. So we'll show anybody around from, one person who wants to come by themselves. Sometimes we have, big, large school groups of 300 plus students coming to our amphitheater. So you can come to our facility, or, if you're a teacher in the state of Alabama, or really even in the state of Georgia, we go to a lot, you can bring us to your facility too. And so we do a lot of educational shows all across the Southeast.
Can you maybe just delve a little more into sort of what a fan would experience if they attended one of those events?
Yeah, so those Football Fans and Feathers presentations, like I said, they're on the Fridays before our home football games at 4 p.m. And so we'll bring, 10 or 12 of our Raptors out there and fly them right over the crowd's head. We've got a 350-seat amphitheater. We've had over 1,000 people in that amphitheater before, though. And so we don't sell out. We just make you sit on the grass or stand in the grass. But we'll have, owls and hawks and falcons flying right over your head while one of the presenters kind of educates the public about some of their natural history, what you're seeing. Maybe it's the hawk that's soaring above and it's not flapping its wings, or whatever it might be about those raptors that were kind of flying around our amphitheater. And then at the end, we get most of our raptors out, really, and let people come up and take photos right next to them. And you can talk to the trainers and ask them some more questions and get your photos with the Raptors. And so even though the show's from 4 to 5, we've got people out there still at 5:30 taking photos with those Raptors.
So when it comes to football games, where would fans typically see you in relation to the Eagle? I know I've seen you down on the sideline. Of course, there's the big flight, and we're going to see that as well.
Yeah, so Amanda and I are typically the ones on the field flying the Eagles to us. When we've got some of our volunteers, they're the ones that are actually releasing the Raptors at the release point. Now, with that, we actually like to release with the wind. And so that's why it kind of moves around the stadium depending on game day. Lots of times it's by the flagpole, because that's usually the direction of the wind. Is typically it goes from kind of the flagpole towards the Jumbotron. And so usually we're flying from that direction, but every once in a while you might see us release from over by the press box, because the wind changed directions on us. And so we like the Eagles to fly with the wind. And so we always are ready. About 17 minutes on the clock before kickoff is when our flight typically is. But we get to the stadium 2 or so hours early. About an hour before kickoff, we'll actually take the Eagle out to the field and make sure it's responsive towards food. So we'll toss a little piece of food down, make sure it's ready for that flight. And we bring both of the Eagles with us. And so lots of people always wonder, how do we decide which Eagle we want to fly? We usually have a plan that week of who we want to fly. If it's military appreciation, we like to fly Indy because she's the bald eagle. If it's maybe homecoming or one of the bigger rivalry games, we like to fly the official war eagle. So we'll have a plan, but we don't actually make that decision until about an hour before kickoff. We'll make sure that eagle is responsive, and if it's not, we can swap it out and see if our plan B is ready. So we don't actually make that decision until about an hour before kickoff. So lots of people don't know that. They'll ask me, especially lots of the photographers, they'll ask me where the Eagle's flying from, or what Eagle is flying 2 hours before game day. We don't know. We don't know until about an hour before kickoff.
So a game time decision.
Yep, game time decision. We want to see who's got their game face on. So we'll test that about an hour before kickoff.
That is awesome. Can you talk about any ways that the public could perhaps support the mission of the center?
Yeah, so we, of course, rely a lot on donations. And some of the ways you can donate to us are either, one, just outright making a donation through the Auburn University Foundation, or one of the things we actually really have good luck with is our Amazon wish list. So actually on our Amazon wish list are lots of things that the center is kind of looking for. I know last year I think I put out a Facebook post, and we needed a new Eagle release carrier for practices. And I was still new to the Amazon wish list thing, so I didn't put how many carriers we needed. By the end of it, we got like 7 Eagle release carriers donated to us, which is great because we go through them pretty rapidly. Lots of times it's just a lot of abuse, lifting them up on the ledge, having them go around the stadium in that golf cart, going up to the release spot. So it was great for us, but lots of other just small things. Lots of times Lysol wipes, especially a couple of years ago when there was a shortage of Lysol wipes. It was great to have lots of donors just send us Lysol wipes or just other small things. Towels. Lots of times we go through lots of towels too, and so lots of times people will just go onto our Amazon wish list and just randomly send us a towel. It's like Christmas when those show up at our front door. We have no idea what's in the box, but we're always excited for it.
That is so cool. So Amazon is for everyone, even Eagles, apparently.
That's right. Yep.
Even Raptors. So who knew? Well, this has been really great. I've enjoyed the discussion with you, Andrew, and we really appreciate you being here with us, kind of enlightening us on all things Raptors and our beloved Eagle flight. We, again, appreciate it. Appreciate everybody listening. Hope you learned a few new things through your knowledge of everything Auburn. Make sure to check back on our show for future episodes as we continue to look at everything that makes Auburn so special. War Eagle.
War Eagle.